started. So
Okay.
things are a little weird here today. We've had terrible weather. I have had no power for the last 4 hours. So I'm working off my phone, which normally I would do this from the laptop and you would see different views of these guys. But right now we're just going to go with what we got. Al's already participating here. He's like, hey, when are we getting started? But also, so there's no lighting in the barn. So we've got some doors open as long as the wind cooperates. It's kind of died down now. So as long as the wind and the rain cooperates, that we can keep the doors open, we'll be able to actually see the horses. So that's the plan for tonight. Julie, do you want to just tell us a little bit about you for those of them who don't know you?
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And I was just answering Melinda's question. So Anna Marie's in Chaminade, Illinois, and I am in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm just going to also say, usually when we do this series, she's got a laptop as well as her phone to be able to record different angles. So forgive the technical difficulties. Mother Nature is Mother Nature, and we need to let her do what she's got to do. So yeah, hi, I'm Julie Hirt. If you haven't met me before, I am a certified soul level animal communicator and soul level intuitive coach. I am also a certified trauma informed grief coach and got into all of this work when two of my dogs first passed away within 6 months of each other, and then got even more involved in the grief coaching with humans and whatnot for two reasons. One, the animals continue to bring people through in my animal communication sessions. And also, my father passed away unexpectedly about 18 months ago. And I just felt this need to do something more and then learned a lot more about grief and the different types of grief, how it lives in the body and whatnot. And that is what I do. And for those of you who also saw the video, Anna Marie has been a huge help for me in working through the grief, particularly over the loss of my father, and also my mother who has Alzheimer's. When my father was transitioning, I kept hearing, go to the horses, go to the horses. And it was Anna Marie's three horses and herself who really helped kind of help me move with that grief and understand it in different ways. And I had worked with her horses before in another way. And it's just an amazing, amazing work. Some of you are familiar with the work that horses can do. And I've just, not only has it really helped me, but then being able to pay it forward with her and help others is incredibly rewarding. And I, sometimes can be fun. It's not always sad. So
Yeah, as you can see with Al here, he is trying to be silly, trying to be goofy, trying to make me not be so serious. So hey, that's one of the ways that the horses bring in a little levity when we're talking about things like grief, where it can feel very down and heavy and hard to get through. The horses will bring that levity in to kind of mix things up, move the energy, and help us kind of get past that a little bit to see what's on the other side of it. So I am Anna Marie Ellison. I am an equine experiential learning coach. So I do this with the horses full time here at my ranch just outside of Chicago. But in addition to that, I also do energy healing with animals. I teach a certification course for energy healing with animals that is actually starting up in July if you're interested. And also, I am a soul level animal communicator and soul level intuitive coach. Ouch. He was like, "Ooh," and I am a grief guide, so I've worked with Julie for the last couple of years, specifically helping people work through grief with the help of the horses as well. I think that's all the things I want to say about me. So as you'll notice, I'm just kind of gonna go around and introduce you to each of the horses. You had Al and his little feisty, sometimes goofy self here just a second ago, but I'm going to introduce you to Hercules and also Nikki. So I'm going to flip my camera around here so that let's see if I can figure out how to flip my camera around. I don't do a lot on my phone, so there we go. Okay, all right. So this is Al. And then we get down here. The rest Hercules. And then we've got the bunch. This is Nikki. We've got this door shut because it's the wind's coming out this direction, so we're trying to minimize that, but let some light in. So this is
Oh, Anna
Nikki.
Marie,
So
that's Nikki.
oh,
Yeah. But go back to Hercules, Anna
okay.
Marie, because you froze on Hercules.
Oh, okay. So here's the big guy. This is
There he is.
Hercules. Lives up to his name. That's Hercules. So Hercules actually just turned 20 this last week, and Al turned 18 on Friday, and Nikki is going to be 30 in June. So we've got a beautiful little group here, a good variety of personalities, and they all intuitively know just who to work with how. Even through Zoom, they have this way of like checking in with the group and feeling the group through us, through Julie and myself as we facilitate. So we rely very much on the horses to guide the sessions that we do. So even though we might have a bit of a plan of how things are structured and what we want to accomplish during a session, we leave a lot up to the horses because I learned very well that the second I try to plan, I'm a big planner. So the second I try to like get everything laid out and have it all organized, the horses are like, yeah, but the group feels like this. So we're going to do this instead. And we're like, okay, well, then we do that instead. So, Julie, anything else you want that I'm missing or you want to add to that?
I just want to say that it is really, it's it's so supportive, and it's really interesting to me just to watch as we're moving through one of the sessions of the Grief, Grace, Gratitude series, how the horses, they all move around. Those of you who have had experiences working with horses in this way, you'll know what I'm talking about. But while we are having conversations with everybody that's participating, they're all moving around. And some will come right up into the camera like that. There's also chickens, as you can see right there. There's also support chickens available. But the horses will all make their energy and whatnot available to every single one. And what Anne Marie will do in the barn with the computer is just make sure that everybody's able to see. And she will point out different behaviors that they're also doing as we move through the different exercises and the different reflections and the different pieces of conversation that we're going to talk about in the series, and showing how they are actually supporting and actually trying to help move the energy. And then we will also do some somatic work with everyone as well, just to make sure that you are also tuning into your body and understanding where grief is sitting with your body and what's coming up. In addition to that, because both Anne Marie and I are soul level intuitive coaches, we actually can also feel into anyone's also body if we feel like something may be a little stuck, or oh my goodness, somebody needs to just have a little bit of space to express themselves. We also are guided in that way to be able to help each one of you experience what's going on in your body, understand what that emotion is. I will say too, and we'll get into it with the outline a little bit, but there are some emotions that are multi-layered, and the horses can actually help with that too, as well as us being able to guide throughout the whole entire series. Anything? Yeah, go ahead.
I think we should just kind of do a quick connect. Like if we all get kind of grounded together and come into our heart space and send that energy gently out to the horses to connect in, that would be a really beautiful way to just create the circle here so you guys can feel a little bit more of what that's like to be in their energy and with them in that way. So if everybody just wants to take a big deep breath in, releasing that out, just do a few deep breaths, bringing yourself into this present moment, letting go of any expectation of what you think this might be or should be. And already, Al is already letting out, as I'm letting out some deep sighs. He's letting out deep sighs. Hercules walked away and he's in the other side over there. He's letting out some sighs as well. So they're already responding to us coming into this moment. And as you come into this present moment, bringing your attention into your heart space, Just breathe into your heart for a moment, setting the intention connect in with Hercules, Elle, and Nikki. Opening yourself to receive whatever it is that you need at this moment in time for the healing of your mind, body, spirit, and emotions. Knowing this will all happen for your greatest and highest good. And then you can even imagine yourself here with me in the arena, inside the barn, in the presence of the horses. Notice if you feel any nervousness about being in that space, or if you feel suddenly calmed. And then if there's something in your mind, in your heart tonight that you're feeling like you need a little guidance on, maybe it's a decision you'd like to make about something, or some support you would like to receive, some healing now from your heart, and you can ask the horse in that to bring you the guidance. Just notice what you're feeling in your body right now as you put that intent into your attention. Notice where you feel that. Do you have any specific of your body sensation tightening or softening? And if your body had a message for you right now, what would that message be? Just notice the first thing that comes up for you, even if it sounds crazy. Making sure that you're breathing, remembering that when you hold your breath, you're holding energy in the body, and we want that energy to move through so that you can receive the messages from your body and from the horses. Notice if you start to feel uncomfortable about just being in the space. Notice too that when I talked about being uncomfortable, Al started to make Nikki uncomfortable by getting in her space. This is one of the way the horses give us feedback about what's going on with you, with the group, the energy they're feeling. So these few short moments we had are just a little preview into part of what happens during our Grief, Grace, and Gratitude series, where we incorporate that in every single session. Being present, connecting with the horses, connecting with ourselves, with our body, with our hearts, so that we can come into a place of opening up and authenticity of what's really going on with us right now. Where are we? Where are we in our head? Are we in our body? How, and the horses are going to show us, give us some feedback and what's coming up for us and how are they responding. That's part of my job, is to give you that information, that feedback of how they're responding to everybody. And that in collaboration with what Julie shares with her certification and everything she knows about being a trauma-informed grief guide, is how we guide you through each session. So Julie, do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So the series is 6 sessions total. The first session, we're going to talk just about grief so that everybody has an understanding of what is grief. What I have found so interesting in doing this work is that there are so many aspects to grief and there's so many reasons to be grieving. We've had situations in this series where people are going down a path of spouse loss or some type of loss and realizing that, oh, I had breast cancer and I've actually lost a breast. And so there's all these different areas of what is grief? Where can grief be found? Where can grief be encountered? So we talk about that. And we also talk about the emotions that I mentioned earlier. And one of those emotions that we'll touch on is anger. Anger tends to come up, what we are finding a lot in grief, and predominantly for most of us, women in particular, anger is not an emotion that we are actually supported in expressing. And there's also a lot of layers underneath anger and a lot of emotions that sit underneath anger. And so we do spend some time talking about the different emotions, anger in particular, so that you have an understanding of what all could potentially be going on and what all to discover and work through. When we come back together for the second session, then we're actually talking about grief and how it impacts your body. Again, there are some physical manifestations that can be felt when you are in grief, and some people don't quite realize what's actually happening in that regard. So we will talk with that and see what comes up for everybody, again, with the support of the horses throughout. And then we also talk about how those emotions are actually sitting in the body. Are they, to some degree stuck? None of this that we're going to talk about is to fix anything. It is more to bring awareness to what's going on and to allowing yourself then to move with it, much like we've talked about with the horses as well. And then the third session, when we come together, we'll talk a little bit more about grief being a portal. It can work as an opportunity for you to realize there is more that I need to do, or maybe it's an opportunity to change course, or maybe it's something to actually cracks you open so much that, oh, I want to do something different. I need to express myself. Creativity can really come into play. But what can grief as a portal look like for everyone? And how can that help you define what you need, what you actually want, and what you want out of life in that regard? And then we also talk about grief being a portal in a way that it starts to bring up, or can start to bring up, some of the negative beliefs or the false narratives that we've told ourselves this whole entire time in this life, and we're tired of them. Or we actually realize that this is something that I need to explore a little bit more with. So we really spend a lot of time with Grace looking at grief being that portal, and in that portal, Where can I find some grace and give myself some grace as I move with the grief? In the fourth session, we still stay with grace, sorry. But what we're going to discuss is what's coming up for you as you're exploring that grace and even in the grief that's kicked it all off. How has uncovering, other grief or compounded grief, what is that all coming up for you? And what is that actually beginning to teach you? And also in all of that, what's ready to be let go? That too is all finding ways to allow grace for yourself, and potentially if you have to give it to other people, that as well. But really, we're focusing on you. So first two sessions are really kind of talking about grief. And then the second two sessions, we're moving into grace. With the fifth session, then we begin to talk about gratitude, which can be really hard in grief to find the gratitude for the love that you experienced, the job that you had, all of those different types of grief. But yet we can talk through what may be coming up for you, or what even the opportunities may be, even to find some gratitude in the experiences that you have gone through, that you're continuing to move with. And what, again, is that teaching you about yourself and what you actually are looking for, what you actually want to move forward. And then the last session, we will actually do a closing ceremony. So this last session, we will spend actually a lot of time just being with the horses and realizing, letting ourselves kind of experience one more time everything with the horses. But we will have some reflection so that whatever you have learned or moved with in this, have an opportunity to share it, because we want to give it the space and the honor and the sacredness that it deserves, that you've worked through this. Let's put some words to that. And then also reflecting on what you would like to do going forward. Just being able to have everybody be able to give that voice as well in the ceremony. And then if there's anything that you would like to release, and share that with the group as well. So we've got 6 sessions, and we move through grief, grace, and begin to talk a bit about gratitude towards the end, and have tools all along the way to help you continue to move with the grief, as well as continue to be able to have connection with the horses as you move out of the series then. So yeah. Anna Marie, anything that I missed?
I will add to that. I think you did that all pretty well. That the only thing I want to add is we're flexible, and we say these are the 6 things that we're going to do for 6 weeks, and yet there's always flexibility in there because we're listening to the horses and letting them guide us in this. So, if we need to stay longer with something because that's the dynamic of the group and what the group needs, then that's what we're going to do. If there's a certain area that needs to be touched on, then that's what we're going to do. So sorry, I need to rearrange because the weather's coming through. So we are adjusting, we're ever adjusting to what's going on with the group and how the horses are showing us that we need to adjust for the needs of everyone that's involved. We are keeping this intentionally to a very small group so that everybody has a chance to be heard, be guided, be supported. And we are also offering an in-person retreat in October. It's a 3-day weekend, so it's a Friday into a Sunday, to come here to my ranch just outside of Chicago and spend the weekend here with me and Julie and the horses to get some in-person healing for grief, whatever version of grief you're going through. I mean, like Julie was touched on, it could be, a job change, it could be retirement, it could be an illness of a family member, the loss of a pet or a loved one. So many different things that, a move that you weren't expecting, or a change in a life situation that you don't know how to manage, or you're not sure, and you feel like you're leaving a piece of yourself behind by stepping into this new thing that you want to do. Grief shows up in a lot of ways that sometimes we don't even realize, and that compounding grief, that secondary grief that Julie touched on, can really be have a really deep effect on us without us even realizing. So even if we lost an animal, there could be other factors in there, layers of grief beyond just the loss of our animal, right? It's the companionship, it's your partner, it's your, your little therapist, it's your best friend. So there's a lot of layers in there that we can help you look at to see what needs to be acknowledged there so that you can move forward with the grief in a way that isn't holding you back and holding you stuck, but still honoring the loss that you're experiencing.
Yeah. Amy put in the chat that the in-person sounds amazing. I can only speak from my experience. It is. It's just, yeah, it's just to be in their presence has just been really helpful. But both, just for those that maybe aren't able to travel or whatnot, the series is also proven to be super helpful as well. So, however, or both, you can do both if you need to, but just to kind of share a little bit more about that. I appreciate that, Amy. Thanks for putting that in the chat. So
yeah, not everybody can get here, but and if you can't make it, I do private as well. So if there's something personal that you want in one section, you could come in and do that via private sessions with the horses. And or Julie also does grief coaching as well. And working with the horses isn't just about grief either. There's a lot of other stuff we have going on in our lives that horses can help us work through. So if you have interest in that, you can definitely reach out for that as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
anybody have any questions?
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about the horses themselves, about how anything kind of flows? Any specific things you're curious about with any of this? I think you can unmute yourself and ask or raise your hand, whichever one works best for you. I will put in the chat if you're curious about grief, grace, gratitude, and or the retreat. I just put in the chat the page it's on both our sites, but it's easier to go that way. Oh, Melinda's asked if the horses have messages for us today.
That's a good question. So that when we connected earlier, I'm going to say the message that you received for you is the most important message. So I could tell you what the group is saying, which I will before we close up for the whole group. But individually, I always encourage everyone to kind of go into their own heart space and see if there's a message that they have for you that's meaningful to you. But before we close, I promise I'll tap into the horses and see if they have a collective message for the group.
Awesome. That's a great question, Melinda. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, good. Melinda received a nice message from Nikki.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
She's a chatty one.
Yeah. She's pretty amazing. And Nikki is. Oh. Yeah. Christine said, get over it. We're fine.
Okay.
Well, anybody else want to share anything or have any questions? Well, I don't think there's any.
Do a quick connect with the horses because I can hear the rain is starting to get louder, which means that we're going to get probably disconnected here in a second. So let me do one last check-in with the horses. So if everybody wants to kind of come into their heart space and visualize that connection with the horses once more, and I'm going to set the intention to ask them for what message they would like to share with the group tonight. Trying to get myself back on screen because Al's giving us some information here, and I'm.
Oh, and she muted herself. Oh, there you go.
All right, let me see. All right, I'm doing my best here, guys. Okay. So, two things that the group shared are you are wherever you are is exactly where you are supposed to be. And the second thing that Al just shared here at the end is don't forget to breathe. Okay, Marjorie, I just want to meet the horses. They do have great energy. They're awesome. They're amazing. Thank you. All right. If you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to Julie or myself. We'd be happy to answer them for us, for you, from the horses. And Julie, is there anything else that we need to add before we wrap things up?
I don't think so. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being with us tonight and for taking some time to meet the herd. Is that Al putting his face back in just to see one more time? Yeah, he's awesome that